you doing, Marcus?
I'm
it's
doing
good. To see
good.
you.
How are you doing?
It got bright all of a sudden, too.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, sun's up.
The sun is up, as Henry would say when he was little. The sun is up. And you know, it's going to be an interesting show because we're recording this on a different day at a different time than we usually do. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird. You're talking about the sun being up and how it makes things strange. Have you ever noticed in like a room or something, if the lighting in there is not the lighting you're used to, like if somebody moves a lamp or if one lamp goes out and the light shifts, it almost looks like it's like a foreign feeling. It's like it's
you mean
weird.
The room itself?
Yeah, like the room itself doesn't seem like the same room if just the lighting kind of shifts drastically enough. It's so odd. Because we were talking not too long ago about how rooms look different if you're up high.
Or holding a mirror.
Or holding a mirror, like under your face. Yes, I would imagine most things look weird if you're including you, if you were doing that. But I've noticed a lot of times if like lights are different in a room, it can make the room look really crazy. And
does your mood get affected by light? Like,
it definitely does. Yeah.
There's certain lights. If I come home and there are certain lights on in the house, I am in a bad mood immediately.
Yeah. Is it the color of the light or what is it?
No, I think it's the activity I have associated with it or something. Like I think it's like some lights. Yeah, I'm just one of those people. Like when I come home, I work long days typically, and I'm usually coming home relatively late-ish, and I just want to. I want to be entering my den, of protection, of like calm, and just let me restore and recharge. Right. So if I come home and there's like work lights on. And by work lights, I don't mean, of course, like, the kind of lights you see on a construction site at nighttime, the kind that blind you as you're driving by. Those, I don't mean that.
If those were there,
that would suck too, right? but I mean, although I'd say, whoa, what great progress, guys. Unless it's that
calm
interchange.
the jackhammer down just a little bit tonight.
Unless it's that I-4 interchange, which is never making any progress.
No, that's perpetual construction there.
Yeah. But I like at the dining room lights on, which we don't use our dining room as a dining room. We use it kind of as a storage facility and like whole I don't know, like mailing center.
Somebody's
if that light's on in there, to me, I'm like, oh no.
Just the light being on puts you in.
It just triggers it. I don't know what it is. If the vacuum's running.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I can see
like,
that.
Oh, no. It doesn't bother me in the middle of the day.
Oh, no.
There's something about the night. It's just
not
night.
Good.
It's just night. Or if all the lights in the house are, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Who died? Kind of thing, I don't know. I'm weird that way.
And some lights put me off. For one, lights that are that daylight color. Like I accidentally bought some
the blue
new
light.
LED lights for the bathroom upstairs, and they're that color. And I've tried to like tolerate it, but I'm like, no, I've got to get some new lights up there. That's the more sort of warm color.
They're nice at a certain time, like during the day. Those actually can be, I think, quite nice because it replicates the wavelength of the sun.
Yeah, I would rather have the warm all the time than the cool all the time, since I've got to choose between.
If you have to have it all the time,
right?
But doesn't the hue bulb allow?
Windows in that bathroom, so it's I either have to have light bulbs that change which I guess I
Yeah.
could, but I don't want to.
You could. Couldn't you put a hue bulb in there? And
yeah, but there's
have it
six things. I don't want to buy
That'd be
six friggin'
expensive.
hue bulbs.
That'd be expensive. You're talking like $200 later.
Hey,
At least.
my light shifts from a little cool to a little warm.
And then, of course, if the router goes out, because the hue lights, I mean, the newer hue light, I'm sorry, the hue lights now will interface directly with the Amazon, I'm not going to say her name.
Right, yeah.
Echoes and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the older ones had to have the
bridge.
the hub interface thing, right? Which I still use for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
I've got that, and you can run. Apparently, there's like 64 lights on that thing, so it's like I don't see needing anything.
But if it becomes
that.
disconnected or stops responding at some point, then you're dead in the water, and you don't want to be dead in the water in the middle of in the bathroom, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking
of which, I know.
This was Monday of this week. Now, we had gotten back from, we had been on the cruise for that whole week before this. Started on Friday because we left here going to Miami. Stayed the night in Miami Friday night, got on the boat Saturday. So from that Friday all the way around through another Friday to that Monday, we had been gone and I had been not working or whatever. So my first get up for work day, I still get up at 6 anyway because I'm weird. But my first get up for work day where I'm doing my work routine is this past Monday. And I'm in the shower, and I don't know, do you do, I've noticed recently that my procedure or whatever, my order of operations in the shower, a whole lot of it has to do with just my head. It's like I shampoo, I do conditioner, I do a face wash, sometimes I do a shave. And then
you shave in the shower?
Yes, I do, because I find it
You have one of those mirrors in there?
Yeah, and it's just a little slab of mirror. I mean, it's not like anything special, but I hold it in my hand.
You hold the mirror in your hand?
Yeah, and just a shave like this.
What if you dropped it?
Well, it's actually not glass. It's like a plastic, but with mirror stuff on it.
Wow.
It works really well. But the point is that I spend most of what I'm doing in there just maintaining the head, which is weird. And then wash rest of body is the last part. But anyway, I am in the middle of all of my head oriented activity. And as I mentioned, no window in the bathroom. Suddenly total power outage. Suddenly plunged into...
Is this your bathroom downstairs? This is the bathroom downstairs?
This is the master
bathroom.
bathroom. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And so I am plunged into absolute total darkness because this is also, the sun isn't up, and the door's closed because Emily's still asleep. So even if there was a little sun, it's not seeping into there from under the door.
So what stage were you in when this happened?
I was in the conditioner stage.
So you hadn't shaved yet.
I had not shaved
shaving
yet.
day. Do you shave every day or do you skip
I shave
a day?
every other day.
Okay.
I find that my skin likes me better if I do it.
And your blades last longer.
Yeah, that's that too. Harry, I've got a backlog of Harry's because I do the mail order shaving thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've got a
I just ordered a whole bunch of that for
stockpile.
Henry, actually. Harry's.
It's a great service. But they're not sponsors this week. Nobody is. But yeah, and so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I had to start taking stock of what do I know about, how good am I, right? I know where the things are in the shower. I feel like I could probably go the rest of the shower in complete darkness. Because I don't feel stopping at this point and then having to pick up again later, or just having to deal with the fact that I'm half showered for the rest of the day.
Isn't your hot water That
We're
instant
getting
hot?
there. Don't.
Oh, okay. Because that's where the panic would be setting in at this. Okay.
Well, that's
okay.
the thing. Because I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can do this.
And
And it
long
was
did that
only
last?
then that I realized that our on-demand water heater is in fact electrically operated.
Well, of course it is. Right.
And then I was like, okay, screw this. Because I think I did actually get through washing my face. And then suddenly the water was
You got
like,
the conditioner out of your hair at least, right?
yeah. I got the conditioner on my hair. I finished washing my face. The water suddenly became quite chilly. And I was like, oh, well, never mind then. And so I cut it off and had to go through all of the post-shower stuff, like toweling off and all of that stuff.
With a half-dirty body, with a really dirty, you're like, I'm not really clean.
Yeah, it was just kind of a funky...
I mean, I rinsed off, which I guess I'm better than like 1883.
Right, true.
But
I'm not like sitting in a copper tub full of water that the rest of my 13-member family has already bathed in.
Or like sponging yourself down by the creek or something.
But at least if I was in 1883, I'd have like an oil lamp or something that would still be operational.
Well, that's true. And everybody else would smell the same or worse.
Right. Nobody's got any room to
You ever wonder
judge
about
anyone
that?
else.
Like how did people?
I have no doubt that people
Do you think you
smelled
just adjust
awful.
to it?
But
just
yeah,
adjust
you got
to it?
kind of nose
think?
blind to it, I guess. Yeah.
Do
Surely.
You,
I would. People didn't walk around all the time going, God.
They must have though, because why else invent bathing? Like it.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe.
And perfume.
There's always
and
like dirt
things.
and stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I digress. So you're in the dark in the shower. You're toweling off in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. And trying not to hit. Like I was like finding the corner of the sink counter and stuff because I knew that if I bent down to like towel off my leg, I knew that I would smack my forehead right into that.
Was your phone in the room?
It is. Yeah. It's.
Could you have asked Siri to turn on the flashlight? I wonder.
I don't know.
Does that work?
That's a good question.
Hey Siri, turn on flashlight.
Did
It totally worked. Yeah, she just did it.
No,
Good job,
that
Siri.
had not occurred to me. That would be that's a good idea.
Stick with me, buddy. That's why we should shower together.
And it was face down too, so it would have helped. Yeah.
See? There you go.
But that was a harrowing experience for my first day back in the job thing. And the rest of the day was because the power didn't come back on until like 7:45, and so well. So I just spent the rest of the day just kind of, I put some extra deodorant on, of course.
That's good.
But
that's
just
nice.
had that kind of funky like that feeling of the second day of your camping trip,
But with a clean head.
With a clean head, which makes it
for
weird.
Zoom, you're great.
Right. That at least was the case. Like my hair doesn't look like yesterday's hair that has also been slept in, and I don't look like a complete bum.
Had you shaved the day before or no?
I don't think so. I think this made a 2 in a row not shaving kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
so you're turning off the high def feature on Zoom at that point.
Exactly.
You look so smooth today. I'm glad you made it out of there. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a little difficult. I did like the picture you sent to me of the lantern, that little lantern thing. That's
the
cool.
little camping lantern that I had.
It made this like Jesus Christ Superstar reflection on your TV, which was also cool. To see, I don't know if you noticed that or not.
I didn't notice that actually.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. And that was last Monday? That
was Monday, yeah. That was this Monday, I think. Or is it last Monday? I don't know. How long?
How do you say? I mean, well, this Monday isn't that like this coming Monday? Wouldn't we last? I don't know how you refer to that. Like it was the most recent Monday in the past. Yeah. It would be this past Monday, right?
Yeah, I think that's.
Because would you say the upcoming Monday? Wouldn't you say you wouldn't say next Monday? Because doesn't that imply that? I mean, unless it's Monday. I feel like if it's actually Monday, if today was Monday, then you could say next Monday, meaning a week from today.
Right, yeah.
Right? But if
that's something
Saturday,
that I deal with, yeah.
If it's Saturday and you say
that out.
next Monday, now it's not clear. You mean like this coming Monday or the following Monday? And I'm assuming it's the following Monday. So not this Monday, but the next Monday.
Like this Monday sounds like this coming Monday, the very Monday. Next Monday that will happen. And
or just
next
Monday.
Monday
so on Monday,
that.
I'm going to do this.
Right.
And next Monday, I'm going to
do that. It makes more sense to make that assumption when you just say on Monday, I'm going to whatever, because that implies it's in the future.
Mm-hmm. Because this Monday is really a shortened version of... Right. It's like a shortened version of this coming Monday. This coming Monday.
Mm-hmm. Right. Coming this Monday.
That's very special.
Very special blossom.
I was going to say Mr. Belvedere, but yeah.
There you go.
And incidentally, I don't think I ever saw an episode of Mr. Belvedere.
I'm not entirely sure that I couldn't even tell you. I was trying to remember who else besides Mr. Belvedere was in that. Is that the one that had Bob Euchre in it?
Dude, I don't know. Like, I have no idea.
I think I've just seen clips.
I was talking to Michelle about this last night. I said, it's the one thing that provides some comfort in knowing that I'm actually not, like, my brain is not like falling apart, is that, every time I forget, I can't remember like a name of something or somebody or whatever. I always worry, like, oh God, is this the beginning of the end? Is this how it starts? Or when I can't follow, if someone gives directions, like I don't remember what they said. Like 30 seconds later, I have no idea what they just said to me. Is this the beginning of the end? And then I think back to when my early 20s, and I had the same problems. Yeah, it was the same thing, right? So okay, whatever the Dame Bramage was, it occurred. Let's see what I did there. It occurred a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's good. But I don't know why, like the Mr. Belvedere would pop into my head when I have never seen the show. Where like the show we're watching, Counterpart, which I'm watching.
Great show.
I'm hard pressed to remember the names of really any of the characters in that show.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
I think it's because
his
I'm
wife
just much
Emily
more of a visual
only
learner.
Stays in my head because of Emily. I was like, I know a person that's that same name.
But I just don't. I unless I see the name, I really have trouble remembering the name unless I use it again and again, right? Or make some effort to like remember, like to kind of use some kind of pneumatic or something or imagery or something.
Which I won't even do that to regular people that I actually know. So doing it to fictitious people on a screen is like even less likely.
But if I'm trying to make the effort, then it'll work. But if I'm just passively trying to remember, no. But it makes it difficult when you're talking about it with friends. You're talking about a show, like, oh yeah, so when that guy, it's a lot of like, that guy and that woman who's married to the person, like, just say her name. I don't know it.
But you've managed to remember all of her relationships and stuff like that. So it's kind of strange.
I remember all the details.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's how I am with people. Like I can remember faces and I can remember the stories with the people. So I can remember all the things that you've talked to me about and stuff, but I can't necessarily remember your name.
So Mr. Belvedere is a show that you never watched.
Never saw. Yeah, but it's there in my brain.
Me either.
Yeah.
I got some other ones that are like that like everybody loved, like Family Matters, like and I never watched an episode of Family Matters. I never watched an episode of Blossom.
Family Matters had Urkel.
It did.
Remember?
It did. Yeah. I do remember that, but I just never.
That was cute.
Never watched it. I mean, I know of it because of its pop culture presence, but
it was popular at the same time that Full House was popular.
Another one I just didn't get into.
That was one of those must-see TV. It was a Fridays that was on. I think it was Fridays. I think that was a Friday must-see.
Cheers, Frasier. I saw all those.
Sure.
Family Ties. I was all over that.
Oh yeah.
Cosby Show. Weirdly enough.
Growing Pains.
Sorry.
Were you a Growing Pains viewer?
I would watch it, but I didn't like. I always felt like I was watching sort of rent-controlled Family Ties.
That's fair. Okay.
It was just like I'm not I'm not as invested in these people. I don't like them as much. I like Alan Thicke. I thought he was fun, but for the rest of it, I just like I never really liked Kirk Cameron. I never really liked his little brother.
Yeah,
like they just.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah, little blonde kid with the really weirdly dark eyebrows. Yeah, I was like, I never found any of them to be, I don't know, not necessarily unrelatable, but just interesting, I guess.
I totally forgot
Whereas
about him.
Alex and Mallory and Jennifer and all of them, I always liked the shows, the stories that they were into. And I liked the parents. I liked Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter Burney as parents. I thought they were cool parents. And there was Skippy and...
Yeah, they were very real parents, I think. Like you got to see the struggles and the marital issues and the dynamics involved in like not just two working parents, but parents who had like their own career paths that they were serious about, and and like that sort of tension behind that.
Mom in that.
Good.
Meredith Baxter Burney was the architect, right? Was that right? Am I remembering
I think
that?
so. Yeah,
she was an architect,
so.
and he
worked for like public television.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah.
See,
it was cool. Yeah, I liked it. Whatever happened to Justine Bateman?
I don't know. She had what seemed to be a burgeoning film career for a little bit, but then I don't know.
Did she? Was she in movies?
Maybe is she one of those people that kind of decided to go the Lifetime
like
movie thing?
Oh, maybe.
Because that's where Joe Polnicek is.
Who's that?
From Facts of Life.
Who's that?
I don't remember the name of the actress, but she played Joe in Facts of Life. She's a Lifetime movie person. Seems like there's some others too, but I can't remember who they are.
Just like perennial characters in
they just show
movies?
up in all these movies.
That's weird.
It's almost like they have like a stable of actors. It's like if you ever watch anything that was produced in the UK, there's like 15 actors in the entirety of the United Kingdom, and they're in absolutely everything that they do.
I'm going to apologize in advance for...
Well, they know it's true too. Come on. But you're like, hey, that guy was in a Richard Curtis movie and in 5 Doctor Who's and in the EastEnders and
and in Star Wars and Harry Potter and all the
anything
films that
that's filmed over there. He was also featured background in friggin' Star Wars.
Line of Duty.
Good, another good show.
Downton Abbey.
Is the new season? Is the last season of that out yet? Line of Duty, or available to us? I know it's out. But
I watched it because I watched through some
like NordVPN or something. Also not sponsoring this.
But yeah, because I was willing to pay for it. I would have bought it.
Yeah,
but there was no mechanism to do it. So what I actually did, and I guess I don't know what the statute of limitations is on this sort of thing, but it probably has not passed. So I'm taking some risk at saying this. But what I did was to allow my own conscience to feel good about itself. For a change, I purchased a subscription to BBC. What is the app that you use? It was. Oh no, I can't.
Or like BritBox or whatever it was called.
It wasn't BritBox. It was like the BBC. You can't get the app. That's the thing on the phone. You actually
iPlayer.
It's like the BBC Viewer thing or whatever. But you can't get the app here because of where we're located.
Right.
And
just silly.
So I had to do it online, right? But I had to do it through the VPN to make it think I was in the UK to be able to even purchase it. So I did actually purchase a subscription to the service that would allow me then to stream the show. I just had to do it, making it think that I was in the UK. I feel like that's okay. I feel like I probably didn't.
Well, that's the thing. I understand that
I purchased it.
All of this stuff with television and movies and all of this, it's almost like the music industry and how they were drug kicking and screaming into like online purchasing and streaming and whatnot, is that they're holding on to these antiquated sort of distribution models. And it's like, at this point, if somebody is wanting to watch your show and is wanting to give money to you in order to watch the show, why aren't they able to watch the show? You know, it's like, oh, because we don't have the guy that's in that country. Well, it's the internet, you know, it's that the internet is a country. Let's just have that be a country. Have things that exist in the internet exist there. It's like hyperspace. It's not anywhere. It's everywhere. And just do it that way. It's just this regional digital lockout stuff and all that junk is so just stupid.
I feel bad for the. I remember like, from a legal perspective, you know, there college law schools that exist like in the Rocky Mountain states. Like a really popular track is to focus on or specialize in like riparian rights for like water distribution rights because it's critically important in those areas because you are the source of the water in the Rocky Mountain states. You are the source, and so what happens? The rights that people have literally downstream from those things. I remember there were laws on the books in Colorado in certain jurisdictions that prohibited collection of rain, like in a rain barrel, all because you're basically you're preventing value from being collected in the reservoir, essentially. If that makes, I know. Silly. I'm just telling. There's a whole body of law around this stuff. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Of course, and there's multi-state. You know, there's like agreements between states and so forth in terms of like how much water can be collected.
I'm all for regulating what people do in the water stream that is upstream of you.
I don't know if it's still that. I don't know if that still stands.
I'm good with that. But you can't collect rain? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was the thing. I don't know if it's still a law or not, but it was. I believe in Colorado Springs there was some of that going on, and maybe it had to do with like how close you were to a reservoir or something. And they take that stuff seriously. Anyway, but I feel bad for people who are trying to study or specialize in the law of digital media rights. But, you know, there was always entertainment law, but that means a very different thing now than it did 20 years, 25 years ago. So like think about digital media rights because it's so fluid and you know, it almost is like international relations in terms of understanding treaties that have been made and unmade and you know, trying to maintain awareness of what licenses are in play and what that prevents you from being able to do with certain. It's just crazy.
And like you said, it's you know, with technology emerging, it causes things to change, things to shift, new things to have to be written. It's it's a crazy world right now. I think it's a moment of transition. I think eventually things will settle down to a more sort of flexible and tolerant of change kind of system, just out of necessity. I don't think people are going to be able to maintain this uncertainty for too long before they're like, all right, wait, let's figure out a way that we don't have to keep doing this. You know, right. I don't think that them doing it over and over and over again actually means that they make more money. I think that, and if that's the case, then they have no incentive to continue it.
I mean, I'm also kind of, this is where my little, there's like little hints of libertarian streaks in me that they're going to come through.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know, but like when it comes to this kind of thing, we're saying like, just let me buy it. Just like if it exists and it's available, just let me buy it.
Yeah.
Like
but those same distribution models are in play
Don't say like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't. You know, like you live in the U.S. and so you know we don't have the rights to be able to because this person has the rights, but they don't get the rights until next year. But don't do that. Just let me buy it.
Yeah.
You know,
make an international thing. I mean, it's like even if you bought the DVD from the UK, that's a Region 2 DVD, and you can't play it on your DVD player because you have a Region 1 DVD player.
Right.
And it's just yeah.
But then you extend it to say. And this is where it begins to get controversial, like licensing, like state licensing for things, where it's kind of built off of the old school guild system of the Middle Ages, and where you know, and guilds, of course, led to labor unions of sorts, and this is not the labor union.
Some of them are still guilds.
Yeah. So this is not really the labor union or guild mechanism, but it's protective, and where it's like trying to protect existing providers of some trade.
Sure,
and so, and some make sense. Like, for example, I think it's important to have licensing in place for physicians and like people who, if they don't have the proper training, they could do some serious damage, right? Like electricians. True. Yeah. Let's make sure that they know what they're doing, right? But why? In the United States of America, why can't I, like, as I say, electrician licensed in Florida, why can't I move to Oklahoma and just show my U.S. license? Like I can with a driver's license, right? If I pass the driver's test here in Florida, I can go and drive in California. No problem. I can actually go and drive in the UK. Like, why can't I also take my trade license and say, okay, I'm going to take it? And you can't. As a physician, you can't. As a lawyer, you can't. As a hair salon, as a hairstyle, whatever, you can't. As hair braiders, even people who braid hair have to get licensed. Why?
Or they work in the Bahamas. Yeah,
who are you going to hurt by braiding the hair improperly?
Right, and and it's like the principles of electricity exist in their same form in all of the states.
Well, and I know that
electrons equal electrons everywhere.
If you go to a different country, yes, they have different standards, right? So the systems in play in Europe, right? That would make sense.
But you're not going to run into a 220 household outlet in Oklahoma, because we don't use those here.
Right, and if you do, don't practice on it. But as a physician, you're not going to run into like, oh, we have different
Vulcans
disease
or something over here now.
Like, different medicine available. Like, no, it's
all the same stuff. And
I'm veterinary medicine's the same thing.
Garbage
the same thing
behind it that doesn't have anything to do with that, I'm sure. But
it's politics. It's all about protecting. It's the system. It's the people who are in. Okay, so we want to raise the barriers to entry for people to be able to get in to do that. And this is again where my libertarian streak comes out, where I say, like, that's just silly. Like have some national licensing system or just an agreement between states where you say, okay, like, we'll recognize yours, you recognize mine, which I guess the states are free to do, because they do that with the bars in some states. Like you get waived in if it's like Maryland and DC to Virginia, stuff like that. But man,
with legal licenses, I can see it in the case of Louisiana, because they use the Napoleonic Code down there.
Well, and everybody's so messed up. Like, the common laws are so different. I mean, there's common law, and but the statutory law is so different. And even the interpretation of the common law, the application of the common law is different between states. The legal system gets a little. But thank God that's not like medicine. But
right, yeah.
Can you imagine?
We got different spleens down here.
I know. Exactly. Right. Oh, you got one of those main spleens?
Oh, yeah. See, that's ours are more have its roots in French. These are French spleens.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, because the Napoleonic stand. It's interesting stuff.
Napoleonic spleen.
I just want to be able to buy the stuff. Just let me buy the stuff.
Yeah.
And
everybody involved in the creation of the stuff would love for you to buy the stuff. They don't care.
Right. I don't. Or come up with some distribution arrangement so that it's just going to cost me more. So you live in the United States. I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay more. It's like when I went to visit the Taj Mahal, and if I was a citizen of India or national, like, I think citizens of India and I think Indian nationals basically had one charge. They had one fee, and it was very low. Right. Anyone else, like outside, had this higher fee, and it may have even been like specific to the country. But of course, like the United States had the highest fee.
Right.
And by high fee, I mean like $30, equivalent of like $30 or something.
As opposed to like $25 or something.
Or as opposed to probably like 2. Like,
oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. It was a huge difference, but in the big scheme of things, for getting into a site as famous as the Taj Mahal, like $30, okay, no problem, right? So do that sort of thing where you say, okay, I'm sorry. So you live in the U.S. and you want to see Line of Duty, the most recent season. We have distribution, relationships so that because of where you live, we charge this much, and then just pay whoever the local person is, like have them handle the transaction so then they get a piece of it or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, something.
Yeah, you
but
get
like
to
for
show
something
it
to be completely not available in an entire market doesn't make any sense to me, especially if the market is the entirety of the United States. I mean, we got 300 million people here that could be watching your thing.
Right, and it's very anti-capitalism, like to say, like, oh, I'm sorry, but I know you're willing to spend who knows how much, but you can literally not even buy. It's not that it's illegal.
Right.
It's that it's just unavailable to you. Another thing, hair products are like this. So there was this Vidal Sassoon shampoo and conditioner. It was like a 3-in-1 thing. I don't know what the third thing was. Maybe it was a rinse. I have no idea. It was a Vidal Sassoon 3-in-1. It came into like these tall red bottles. Like they were kind of like crimson colored red bottles almost, or maroon maybe. And I loved it. I mean, I loved it. It was like my go-to shampoo in the 90s. I had one shampoo. It did 3 things, 2 of which I understood, and it was fantastic. Okay. At some point, it just became unavailable.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't find it anywhere. And I searched high and low, and I could not find it. And I don't know how this happened, but a friend of ours, who's since deceased, which is sad, a friend of ours was visiting family in Taiwan, I think, and brought me back like 2 bottles of this stuff.
Oh, wow. They had it over there.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my, I don't know how she knew that I can't remember, but she brought this back, and I was like equally fascinated by, number one, like that they had this, that I was able to get, and 2, that she actually like cared enough to bring it back, because that's like 2 bottles of shampoo is a lot. It's like a lot of space in luggage. Anyway, so then I had that, and I coveted that. Right. And then after those 2 were gone, that was it. I never could find it again. But the fact that you could still buy it
there.
Yeah.
Now I haven't somewhere, but not everywhere.
Right. And there was another there was another line of men's and women's, but the men's line of like some facial products stuff, like whatever. You could, the same thing. You can't get it anymore, except like in Spain.
That is so weird.
Why?
Yeah. And it's like, if you wanted to discontinue it because maybe it didn't sell so much, or you got a new thing that does it better, or whatever, I can understand that. But if you've decided to just shut it off on certain markets and it's still available, you're still manufacturing it, you're still making it, but you're just not willing to make it.
Right.
For all these places.
I found one distributor who happens to be in Miami that is, I guess, licensed to sell this stuff, but they don't have everything. Most of it's women's stuff. So why? It's 2022. Tear down those walls, Mr. Gorbachev.
Yeah.
Come on. I think he is actually.
Is he? I think so. Did I tell you I saw him speak?
I was going to say, did I tell you I saw him at Disney?
I saw him the other day. Yeah. He owes me money. But no, he spoke at my college back in 92, I think it was. Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri.
I like how when you have politicians like this and national leaders, that Wikipedia doesn't give you their personal information first. They give you like all the things that they did within. Right, and he's still alive. He's 90 years old.
There you go.
Look at that. I mean, as far as we know, he's still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
He may be quote unquote alive. some people
he has an official
quote
website.
unquote alive.
He has an official website. I wonder what kind of tracking I'm going to get by going to this.
Gorbachev.horse.
Oh, it's interesting. Oh. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, oh my.
This is just Jason reacting to things. What is it?
The URL. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Gorby.ru.
Gorby.ru.
Gorby.ru. Gorby.ru. Like, really? You couldn't get Gorbachev? Like, really?
Yes, Gorbachev.ru already
I'm definitely not going to Gorbachev.ru.
No, that's going to inject some seriously weird code into your computer.
or there's going to be some not so sophisticated ladies or something
some
that's
dubiously legal explicit material.
That's not happening. That's definitely not happening.
Man.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I don't know how to segue into this, so I'm just going to leave it. Maybe. Yeah, we'll come back to that. So we never talked about Copa Cabana, and I don't remember how this came up. This came up. I don't know if this came up in like a cruise ship conversation or whether this was
sounds pretty natural
this past
for a
week.
cruise
It actually
ship.
came up. So I think it was in a conversation I was having with somebody else about the words to songs, and and I was saying, like, I know all the words to Copa Cabana, like I can, I have that completely and utterly memorized, I think most people aren't impressed by that.
I am impressed by that.
I feel like they are, like because it's become such a a popular karaoke thing that you know, I think it would be unless I was like in a karaoke place. Imagine the setting: you're on a karaoke stage, and you cue up Copa Cabana, and you say to the karaoke maestro, like, "Oh, you can turn that screen off."
Or you come down from the thing where you can't see the screens anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like,
he's leaving this.
Working without a net.
I have to convey that somehow, right?
Yeah.
Like yes.
Put on sunglasses.
But I need to tell you how I know. Why I know the words to Copa Cabana. I'm utterly
curious about why.
I love Barry Manilow, but that has nothing to do with why I know. Well, I may have. I'm not sure. The year was 1992-ish.
Okay.
Ish.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the winter, I believe. It was the winter. And the place was the Baltimore Beltway, 695.
Okay.
I was driving in my Ford Festiva, which had nothing but a radio in it.
Mm-hmm. Did this vehicle have a name? Did you are you a person who names your cars?
No. Okay. No, if it did, it would be like the death container or something. I was like, I have some stories to tell from that thing. Some that were like almost took my life. Not my fault either. But this little thing, I'm driving this, and I was on my way. I think I was on my way to college, and I'm trying to find the two radio stations that I could get in, because that kind of
Baltimore?
radio well, it was not just because the two radio stations that I could get in that played music that I enjoyed.
Okay.
In 1992, right? So so now, and it's Ford Festiva, so it's not the best radio to begin with.
That, certainly.
So there's that. Okay, and I think I was it was either at the time like B104 or Mix 106 or one of those channels. I think it was 104. I think it was B104.
Think there's a FM station on 106 anywhere in this country that is not called Mix 106.
Of course it is, right? I think it was B104 because B104 was making this convert. So what happened was this: someone purchased B104, but it's almost like when you purchased a domain name and you're not using it yet. You just kind of park it.
Oh,
and you've
yeah.
seen those sites where you go and it's like, oh, this domain's parked for blah, blah, blah. Okay. So whoever purchased this wasn't quite ready to use it, but they also needed to shut down whatever was happening. So B104, at some point around like the holidays, I remember, went into this period of hibernation or transition or something where they just played the same 3 or 4 songs. I think it was 3 songs.
Wow.
Over and over again, constantly, 24/7. One of which was Copa Cabana. And I would listen to this station, I think probably in the hopes that I wanted to like be there when it whenever it changed over, right? I wanted to hear it. But then it became this thing where I noticed that I had listened so much that I actually knew the words now, or seemed to know the words. And so now it was this like, oh, I need to actually see if I remember all the words. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I did. And then eventually it became like a party trick, right? But I don't actually think I ever was there for the changeover. I think eventually just like.
Man, all that time.
Yeah.
You missed it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember because that wasn't important anymore. What was important was Copa Cabana.
Right. Now that would have been almost a disappointment if that had happened, because your Copa Cabana training program would have been over with, and you'd have to replicate it with your own copy.
Right. But it also became clear I think I'm pretty much the only person in Baltimore and the Baltimore Metro who did this. Or
I would say that's almost a guarantee. Yeah.
It was weird though because they didn't have like ads or anything. It was just these 3 songs over and over, separated by nothing.
It's 3. It's strange that it's like
it was
not
3 or 4. I can't. It was 3,
that it's
no
not
more
like
than 4.
10.
Sure.
So you can say they put in a single CD and just shuffled it and repeat-alled, or it's not just one song. You know, it's odd that it's 3 songs. That's weird. What were the other 2 songs, out of curiosity?
I have no recollection.
That's weird.
Maybe somebody out there that I don't have any
one
recollection.
One of them cemented itself in your brain, and you've completely lost recollection of the other 2.
And I think they were like totally unrelated. I think like one was,
Double It Down to Georgia, and
like it was like why like
and then some Tchaikovsky.
They weren't so bad that I changed the station,
Right. But you were just waiting for
going on
for the next come around on Copa.
I have to assume that like whatever was happening on the other channels must have been so bad that I didn't want to switch.
The better alternative. Mix 106 was just sucking.
Like I didn't go to 98 Rock for whatever reason, because I think at the time 98 Rock was just whatever genre of rock they were playing at the time just was not for me. It was probably like Whitesnake or something great. Like, wow.
Yeah. 92. That was a weird time for music.
Yeah. It was a period of transition for music. Yeah, for sure. I wish I knew. I wish I knew what the other songs were. I wonder if wonder if that's discoverable. Like, there's that app. Have you seen that radio? Have we talked about this before? We have talked about this before. We actually played some of that music. Remember that app I talked about where it's like you can go back in history and geographically and find like the music that was playing at that time, but you can't pinpoint it down to this level. Like to be able to say what was playing on this station on this day.
Right. Wow, the amount of information that you would need in order to be able to successfully do that would be enormous.
You probably could do it now, maybe.
I mean,
maybe they're indexing enough.
Well, I don't know. There's so few actual broadcast shows going on right now. Like everything's syndicated, even in regular terrestrial radio, and then like there are all the satellite stuff, but that's all like a single one, right, for everybody. So it'd be like cataloging a single city, and that wouldn't be too hard. But back in the 90s, every city had its own station. Well, a bunch of stations.
So technically, okay, so 104.3 FM is WZFT. Is its, I guess, what, FCC given?
Yeah, the call letters.
Calls. Which that means, it's currently owned by owned and operated by iHeartMedia.
Oh, yeah.
That's
see,
interesting.
Syndication.
And it's located at the Rotunda Shopping Center. Its studios are located at Rotunda Shopping Center. And the Rotunda, if you know anything about Baltimore, Rotunda Shopping Center, at least based on my recollections, was this fading shopping center mallish type situation in the city. Had a decent theater, but that theater went like independent at some point. And that's so weird. Oh, and yeah, okay. So the
radio's offices are there.
Televisions on Television Hill, which is what I would expect. Yeah. And so, but here, so B1 let's see. Oh, it shows all the former call signs.
They don't have B in it. I found that a lot of B10 whatevers, none of the call letters are B.
Well, what's interesting is that maybe a couple times it happened, but what's interesting is that the class of radio frequency is B, which is interesting. But I think the B stood for Baltimore when they were calling it B104. So, but look, WBSB ran
when it started.
This call sign ran from 1980 to 1993. So maybe I was off by a year, but that's that. And then it became WVRT in 1993. So that was the time. That was the switch. Yeah. It was the switch between WBSB and WVRT.
Yeah, somebody bought BSB and just took one of their CD players and put a 3-song CD in there and let it run.
Yeah.
While they were getting everything else set up for the WVFT or whatever it was.
And in the early 90s, it went from top 40, because in the early 90s, top 40 radio suffered a decline in audience and revenue. And many stations around the country flipped to other formats, and this was one of those. And on February 18th, 1992, oh my goodness, on February 18th, 1992, I said 1992? I said it was the winter. At 9 a.m., after playing a montage of station memories, the station flipped to a Variety 104.3.
Variety.
Yeah, and then in 1993, it changed its call letters, yada yada. So they don't talk about that period where. Hold on. On December 13th, the station began stunting with a simulcast of WWMX. At midnight on December 20th, the stunting switched to a 1 song per day loop, as well as liners redirecting listeners to this other station. And finally, on January 12th, 1994, at 6 p.m., they flipped to soft 104. So it must have been that period. And so it was December. Yeah. I said holidays.
Yeah, you did.
And
it's what site are you looking at? Their site?
Wikipedia. No, I love Wikipedia. God bless Wikipedia.
Man, the history of this one radio station all laid out like that. That's interesting.
I love the internet. I mean, I know a whole bunch of nastiness is here.
Yeah, sure, but
Gorby.ru and the history of B104. Come on, man. We're living in a great time. It's just there's like almost nothing we can't know. I love it. This is great. So there's that. How much how are we doing for time? We okay?
We're doing good.
Yeah. We got like a little bit I feel like we have to talk about
Yeah, you've been a veritable cloud of pins the last couple of days.
I feel okay. So 2 more things we're going to cover in a little bit of time that we have, and then we'll come back to some of these other things. I feel this is a very tech heavy episode, so I'm going to avoid a couple of these. But I would like to talk before I forget about it, because the days are passing. I'd like to talk about Fancy McDonald's.
Fancy McDonald's.
So this is very much a cruise-induced dream. Although I wasn't on the cruise, this happened just a few days ago.
There's still like residual cruisiness going on in your head. It
must be, yeah, a little residual cruisiness, because I had this dream, but it wasn't on a cruise. I was definitely at a resort of some sort, like an all-inclusive resort of some sort. So like a cruise, but on the ground, not at sea, right?
Right, like your Atlantis or Sandals.
Right, and what was weird was that it was kind of like also like a water park ish. And and thinking about it now, like I've had recurring dreams about this like very, very similar place, and just weird. It's and if people are familiar with Alani, it's like almost like there's areas where you can kind of walk underneath the rock work and stuff. It's kind of like that. And so this area was, there was this like food eatery area, but it was like it was, the only way I can describe it, it definitely was McDonald's. But what was exciting about it was that it was like a special McDonald's, like a McDonald's that you couldn't find anywhere else, like a fancy McDonald's. And I was going there to experience the fancy McDonald's, and of course in cruise ship form, I go up and there's the little case like with the stuff that you can select from. But I was disappointed because the only two things. One was like the normal like hamburger or something, and the other was a McDonald's hot dog.
A hot dog, a hot dog.
Yeah, and so I was fascinated by this. I was like, oh, but at the same time I was conflicted because I'm not eating hot dogs.
Right.
Like
so there's the hot dog.
I want to experience this fancy. It reminded me of like when I was in India and had the Maharaja Mac, which is really it's a Big Mac that's devoid of any beef. It's just they use chicken instead, and so
it doesn't sound bad actually.
It was actually pretty good, but this was like the McDonald's hot dog. But I was like, I want to get it, but at the same time, I think, and I'm fat. I don't want to eat the hot dog, and like. But then I was like, okay, I think I got it. But then I had this conundrum of like there are all these sauces to pick from, of course. Like how am I gonna? Because, your hot dog experience is very much driven by what you put on it.
That's very true, yeah.
Like
the hot
I'm not
dog
an animal. I'm not going to eat a
but a
plane.
canvas, I believe William Shakespeare once said.
Yes. So that all happened. And then as I'm still like feeling a little remorseful about having this hot dog. I didn't eat it yet. Like carrying it around. And then, I kid you not,
carrying the hot dog.
I realized... I was kind of disappointed also, like, this is the fancy McDonald's? Like, this is it? Like, it was just, right?
You were expecting more from the fancy McDonald's.
Yeah. And in cruise ship form, I walk around the bend just a little bit, and there's the real fancy McDonald's. So what I had done, I essentially went to the equivalent of, like, the grab and go.
Right, yeah.
Section.
Yeah, like, the to-go section of any restaurant.
And here's fancy McDonald's, and they have, like a whole menu of these like fancy burgers like you never got. They're all burger related, I think, but they're all like versions that you had never heard of before. Things that you had never like in different fixins and
the
stuff
and or something.
Yeah, but I was like, I already have this.
And
it was a whole thing. You could like order. I was so disappointed. But that was fancy McDonald's, and it was just weird because what I came back to was the topic we had about going on the cruise ship, and you go to this spot and like you feel this pressure to order like the first thing that you come to, and I just wanted to explore, but you can't because people are like beckoning you in,
right? Yeah,
and then
and you ended up with the hot dog and not all the
I ended up with a hot
artisanal
dog,
McDonald's
which I already felt
burgers.
bad about. Right, I had no memory. I don't think I actually ate it in my dream.
No, so you didn't even eat it.
I didn't even eat it. I don't know what happened to it.
Your dreams are very, very disappoining, and that's kind of unsurprising.
It was but it stuck in my. I don't know why. I have no idea why this came to me, because when I sent you the pin, it was at 1:38 in the afternoon, but I was still obviously thinking about fancy McDonald's in my head. Right.
Once fancy McDonald's gets in your head, man, you can't get rid of it.
You can't shake it, but it does make me think about that. I don't know why they don't have more of that kind of thing, like
fancy McDonald's.
Well, yeah, like a
McDonald's Select or something.
Yeah, like a special boutique kind of boutique McDonald's or something in certain. Like, why don't they have that? They have it for like the M&M store, or
yeah.
You know.
And then they have like those sort of that one Kroger's that has been to a Whole Foods, and they've put a lot more wood in there,
right?
And better produce, and stuff like that. It's like there should be a McDonald's. Like you get for every 10 McDonald's, there's one like McDonald's Select or McDonald's Plus or whatever. And then that's the one where you get your sort of bespoke burgers with the piece of bamboo that's been tied into a knot on one end stuck into it.
Yeah, fancy McDonald's.
Yeah.
Why can't I have that?
I don't know. And then like the clown for that McDonald's is a much more upscale clown. He's like
what if they just had nostalgic McDonald's? What about nostalgic McDonald's? Like a McDonald's where you went to this McDonald's and they had all the stuff that you had a long time ago. Like,
and they had it on like you had those like church bulletin kind of menus up there with the plastic letters that you stick into the grooves,
or at least a screen that looked like that.
Yeah, and
then you can digitally replicate that.
You can get like old school Happy Meals and things, and yeah, that would be cool.
But being able to get like a
Taco Bell like that too.
Yeah, no, I was never really a Taco Bell.
No, it was all like classic Taco Bell stuff, like from back in the day.
In my mind, that's what still exists at Taco Bell. 'Cause it's been so long since it's been decades since I was at a Taco Bell.
When they still had cinnamon crispas as the dessert.
They don't have those anymore.
No.
Weren't they basically like pork rinds with cinnamon on them?
That was the new one. Cinnamon crispas were these kind of triangular.
Sticks.
I can't describe them. They're very flaky kind of.
Oh yeah, like almost pastry, like but hard. They
were flat and crumbly, but they were these. Like it's clearly sort of a cross between a pastry and like a chip. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but I like those.
That's where my first soft taco was at. Like it was like a bean.
That's right.
Taco
Yeah,
or
me
something.
too. I discovered that I like soft tacos much better than crunchy tacos.
Well, because the other ones fall apart.
Right. You bunch it, and especially those because they split right down the middle, and it's like the Bombay doors opened up and all of the meat will fall out. Or it turns into a weird sandwich.
It's literally like that scene, the opening scene in The Last Jedi. Where the bomb, the doors open just...
Except with the bombs, it's
all the taco filling. Yeah. Everything just falls out. Everything. And there's no Poe to come save the day.
No, unfortunately.
So the last thing I think we should talk about is the baggage carousel.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, what's not up with the baggage?
Where did you run into the baggage carousel?
This is where I was picking Michelle up from the airport, and God bless her, she checked the bag.
Yeah,
which is like,
I know that's like a complete antithesis of the Jason Knapp way.
You don't pack. I mean, come on. Anyway. I mean, I understand checking a bag to go somewhere because maybe you're taking things to people that you can't check because maybe the water, there's too many fluids or something. I don't know, whatever. Bottles of, I don't know. But they're coming back. Anyway, so it just occurred to me as we were standing there waiting for the baggage carousel thing to kick into gear, as you're waiting for the bags. And you have no idea, well, at least with Southwest, like no clue, because you don't have the bag tracker or anything like Delta has, where she'll tell you where your bag is and stuff, which is awesome. Because Delta realizes that a process wait is worse than an in-process wait. Like if you're waiting the same amount of time, but at least the progress is being made during that time, that feels a lot better than if you are just in the dark about what's actually happening, right? Okay. So with Southwest, you're in the dark and you're waiting, and you look into the board and it has all the different airlines on there that I guess are going to have occupied space there and are going to occupy space there, but you don't really know. There's always, if it's in motion already and there's like the few bags on it, you don't really know whether those bags are like yours and yours just hasn't come out, or whether they're like you don't know.
Even though that's unlikely, yeah.
So this was not the case. So it was just dead in the water, waiting to go, and it occurs to me that this is one of those, like, this is still the Wild West. This is one of those few vestiges of like pre-civilization that exists in an otherwise highly processed world, right? Like there is no queuing. It is every man for himself.
Yep.
Elbow your way in. There is everyone and their brother wants to be like at the origin point for this, like where the suitcases come out,
right?
Because or the bags come out because they want to like grab and go, right? But there's no agreed upon courtesy. There's no agreed upon like the system that operates in my head. I recognize is not only the best, but also not one held by anybody else,
right?
Because there's no formal training. There's no informal training. There's nothing. It's literally the Wild West. And you have this group of people who have just spent an inordinate amount of time in highly stressful situations, close to a whole bunch of strangers who just want to get out of there and get on their way, who are now at their wits' end, about to kill somebody. Especially as they're waiting for their bags, right? Because you have the stress of like just wanting to get out of there, but also the stress of, is my bag going to emerge, or is this going to be the time that it doesn't show up?
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody's there, and then you add the mask thing in too, because of course you're in the airport, so you're supposed to be wearing the masks, but not everybody is. You have the nose maskers, which is just like, why? Like just take it off.
New study confirms nose connected to lungs.
Just take it off already. Don't let's not be that person. Anyway, so I'd rather you just be fully. I'm not wearing a mask. Like, just do that. Don't have your nose shut. Come on.
Yeah,
like, that's
stupid. Like I'm technically doing it.
Just own it. Just own it. Right. Fine. Okay. Anyway, and then you have the people who. So everybody's crowding around this like first section, even though there's like 7 miles of carousel left. It's like everyone has collected like at the foot of the Rockies, because it's hard to cross the Rockies, or you don't want to go up through Wyoming or something. Like we're all just right here in Denver, because this is where we decided to stop. And if you go a little further out, you can have a fine experience. You'll have your own land. You have all the space in the world, and you can see your bag coming from a mile away. But no, everybody's collecting around this one area, right? And then you'll have the people who bring their entire family with them, sometimes children, who they are either going to enlist to help them,
because they're always great help with the baggage,
or they're just there, right? And you have that kid or the person, usually a person whose bag is larger than they are. Who is going to, they see their bag, they grab their bag, and then at some point they've forgotten how heavy their bag was that they packed, and it drags them down the line of people they're forced to either help them with the bag, which now, like, why am I helping you with the bag? Because I'd rather not have you tumble through me, or step back, and it's like, it's just the Darwinian system. Like you're going to watch it happen.
See where this goes.
The gazelle is going to get eaten, and you're just like, it is what it is. But yeah, good luck.
Let's see how you do.
Yeah, and like there's this one guy who had like a very serious looking bag. Like this was not even a bag. This is like a container case, or a
camera equipment or something in there.
Something, yeah, but big.
Yeah.
And he goes over and you can see he's serious, and he's like, grabs it, but he like elbows his way in, like through people, like, oh, excuse me, that's my bag, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just going around the corner,
as though that gives you a license to be a jerk. That's my bag, so whack.
Yeah. Right. And then he goes, and so I'm right there, and I'm like, stab me. I'm not moving.
Yeah. I am unimpressed by your elbows, sir.
I'm going to see what happens next. So he picks it, and you can see a little struggle.
Uh-oh.
He's picking it. He's dragging him. He's picking it. He's dragging him. And I'm like, dude, I'm not getting out of the way.
If you weren't a jerk, I might help you.
And he just in the nick of time, he gets the bag without like hitting me or anything. And then it's like, okay, there you go.
Where you want to see him get drugged back in through those little flappy curtain things. I really did want to see him get dragged. I would have moved for that, to see him like get dragged along like with everything else.
And then so another thing occurred to me that like the bags now, we've reached this. I think we've gone past the tipping point where for a while, like all bags looked the same. Basically, they were all like black roller bag kind of things. And so people started putting ribbons and all sorts of accoutrements on the bags so they stick out, right? And now so many people do that now it's become easier to spot the unadulterated bag.
Right, exactly.
Than the other bags. It's like, oh, there's mine because there's nothing on it. It's just plain, right? And then the other thing that I noticed is that how it's crossed between panic and anger. Moral indignation may be the best way to describe it. When you see your bag, you know it's your bag. It's coming around the bend, and you see this person go to grab that bag. Now they're looking to see if it's their bag, right? But you know it's yours, and you just want to yell across the crowd, "Leave it alone!"
Or they pick it, your bag. They kind of shift it up to look at something. They see that it's not yours, and it's like you get almost offended at the way they just kind of dismiss it after that.
Yes,
it's like, hey, what's wrong with my bag? Put it back
gently. They're just kind of like, and now it's like
so
upside down.
Don't reject my freaking bag.
Okay,
you're not too good for my bag,
right?
I didn't want you to pick it up in the first place, but you treat it a little better than that.
Look at the. So I'm mindful of this when I see a bag come around. I'm not sure if it's mine or not. What I do is I just kind of look at the tag thing.
Right, that thing's got names on them now.
It does. Now you have to do a quick ID. Like you need to be able to like spot because once you go in, you're going in. So if you see it and you don't be the guy who sees it, grabs it, and then oh no, I read my name incorrectly and then put it back. I don't know how we fix this. I just feel like
remarkable
something
to me
has to be done.
How chaotic it really is. I mean, it's like it's
organized anarchy.
It's in the least secure area of the airport because it's outside of security.
But you can take anything you want.
Somebody could just walk in from the outside. Nobody has challenged them because there's nothing to challenge. I mean,
you don't show anybody.
Not to get into the baggage claim area, and you can just walk up to a carousel and grab a bag. And how many times have you seen, like you were talking about, there's some bags there from the previous flight still.
No, they're just sitting there.
And it's like, how many times have you seen that? Well, number one, where are those people, for one thing? Like, why? Like, did anybody die? What?
So one time, and I don't want to get into it now, but one time I was in a situation where I actually was that person who, there was such an emergency happening that I literally didn't pick up my bags from the carousel. Yeah, and I had to go back the next day. So I can't imagine it happens. I just can't imagine it happens that frequently.
It seems to be every single flight has 5 bags that don't go home.
Wait, maybe they didn't make
What's
the flight.
going on?
Maybe something. Maybe they're just up having a drink, and they're just gonna. Maybe that's not a bad strategy. If you're like, you know what, let's let everybody else fight over their bags.
But it leaves your bag out in the woods, where anybody can get it. But also, I imagine some of them are like a bag that didn't make a connection, and this is a later flight that's trying to come through. Yeah, that happens. But I guess, but they don't have any of their representatives out there picking them up either, though, right? They're not like.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. They certainly can't have a person at each carousel. There's usually the one person on the little speaker things announcing which go to this carousel. That's always fun too. When everybody's collected around one, and then they change the carousel that it's going to be.
I've always
and then
wondered,
you see this huge shift of people, just 75 people just moving, and it's
then the guy that was stuck in the back now gets to be up at the front, because because it's first in, last out, right? Because but I always wonder,
the watering hole has moved to.
I always wonder what happened. Why is that carousel no longer okay, and it's 3 down? No, they're coming out over there
did
now.
they not see it? Because clearly they don't have the same air traffic control system working for the carousel that they have.
Traffic control sucks,
right? Yeah. So it's isn't that weird? But it just seems like we need a system. Somebody needs to just create some rules around this is how this works. And if you just spaced out, even if everybody just agreed, okay, give 3 feet on each side of a person, we've got enough carousel to work with that. If you get there, late or something, you're just going to have to wait. Like, wait till there's a spot open for you to insert yourself. It doesn't matter that your bag is going around. Just
and
wait.
if you are a member of a 2-adult minimum family, with
1 person,
children, send a representative. Somebody is your delegate that goes up there and handles bags.
Yes.
And don't crowd the entire family up there.
Right.
No good.
Right. I don't know, man. I mean, the cruise ships do it great, but they do stage it over a long period of time. But you're talking about thousands of people as opposed to like 100 people or something, and not everybody's checking bags anyway. I don't know. It's very interesting, but that's it. That was my thing. I think maybe someone will listen to the show and say we're never letting him fly again. Just like, watch this guy. Oh, he talked about grabbing bags at the carousels that aren't his own. That's great. Let's be on the lookout for him.
But he won't have a ribbon on his bag.
At least I'm masked.
Yeah. Yeah, that's even weirder, right? Because everybody's in a mask now, and they're just pulling bags, and you don't know who anybody is.
So who took the bag? He was masked.
And I remember he had eyes.
And a bag. Oh wait, that was my bag.
That you'll spot him because he's got my bag. That's how he looks. That's what he looks like. A dude with my bag.
But it's black with nothing on it. It's just a black. It's like it can be any number.
It has a colorful ribbon, sir. They all have colorful ribbons.